All right, joining me now to delve into Senators' plans and Twitter's admissions and conservative censorship on social media is Raheem Kassam. He's the global editor-in-chief at humanevents.com. Good to have you back on the show with us, Raheem. Raheem, let's start off with your personal anecdote here. Your Facebook page was deleted last week, I believe, without warning. Tell us what happened.
Yeah, well, thank you for having me, Michelle. The situation, as you explained, with conservatives on social media has got so heinous now that you're no longer being told, and I'll speak from my perspective, we're no longer being told, you've said something that goes against our terms and conditions, or here's a post that we'd like you to delete because it's against the terms and conditions you've subscribed to. They actually just removed my access to my personal private Facebook account last week. I woke up to this, which affects me in particular because a lot of the work I do, I've spent 10 years building a Facebook following of around 160,000 people. So to have that cut off overnight without warning, without explanation, without any form of mediation there is, of course, quite an extraordinary thing for a tech giant to be able to do. Now, the argument from some conservative spheres, some sort of high-end, extreme free market perspectives, is that, well, these are private companies and you signed up to use their service and therefore, you're effectively at their whim. But the point is this. These are not just private companies. They're companies that benefit from their outward overt collusion with governments, whether it's in the United States or, as we know, these tech giants have been sucking up a lot to Angela Merkel in Germany. They leverage their power within the European Union to get certain results via their very expensive lobbyists. So there's that angle. The other angle is that they're also protected by certain things in US law already that stop people like me having recourse against them, for instance, in the courts. So we have to be able to dismiss that argument off the bat and just say, well, no, if they're going to act like utilities and if they're going to benefit from being treated by the US government as utilities, then we have to expect from them the same fair play as we would expect basic utilities, like your water provider, i.e. not being able to cut off your water supply if they dislike your political opinion. And that's where Elizabeth Warren's plans come in. Elizabeth Warren shouldn't be the one identifying this stuff. It should be being identified on the political right. And while there has been obviously some noise, and there are plenty of people to compliment in this regard, such as Donald Trump Jr., unfortunately, the message still hasn't reached mainstream Republicans on Capitol Hill that it's their voters that are being routinely targeted now.
Well, what is the recourse? You say that there is no legal recourse if you're banned. So what can someone do, and what are the laws that need to be changed to facilitate this?
Yeah, well, that's really the most important question, because for people like me, I got lucky that my case became very well known very quickly because I have an internet following. And people were able to lobby Facebook to have my page returned, and they returned it within a couple of hours and said, oops, innocent mistake, which, by the way, no one's buying. But for the ordinary person, and I'm really considering older people as well in this regard, Facebook has become a means by which they keep in touch with their family members. They get to see pictures of their grandkids growing up. There's a big loneliness factor out there. We've even in the United Kingdom had to appoint a loneliness czar in government because there's such a breakdown of the family unit. And then to sever that tie, because let's face it, older people are more likely to be conservative, more likely to be posting things that perhaps, the gods of Silicon Valley disapprove of. You're actually deadly seriously impacting people's personal lives. And again, without recourse, there is no possibility of those people, class action or single-handedly, taking these big tech giants to court. But what can be done at this point is you have to get rid of sections under Section 230 of the Communications Decency Act here in the United States. And that's a very particular piece of legislation that protects tech companies against being thought of as publishers. You see, so you have editorial decisions that you take, the New York Times does, I do, and we have to account for those. We're held accountable for those. But for the big tech companies like YouTube, which pushes down anti-abortion videos, and like Google, which pushes up certain search results, you're not allowed to take them to court under the same auspices of because they're protected by 230 of the Communications Decency Act. So for a step one, that I believe is the first recourse to making sure that there's a level playing field in this regard.
Well, to your point, Raheem, social media is just the way that so many of us get our news, get our information. And essentially, you've got around 4 companies in the world dominating the global discourse. Now, we're hearing from the likes of Elizabeth Warren that there should be some kind of government regulation, some kind of intervention. But is that really the answer? I mean, to what point does that then interfere with free markets?
Yeah, well, look, Elizabeth Warren isn't doing this because she likes conservatives and she wants more conservative voices out there. Elizabeth Warren is doing it for 2 reasons. Firstly, she understands she has to run on a populist platform, and the populist left is about to get cracked down on by the predominant political order, that is the centrist neoliberal order, as the right has been targeted. So she understands that there's a thing coming down the line for her supporters and, effectively for socialists. The other reason that Elizabeth Warren is doing it is it's a back route for her into ensuring that when government controls do come in, that they're left-leaning government controls. And I just get a big sense of frustration, not just from me, but from the whole sort of MAGA, Trump, right-wing crowd out there that are the ones who are routinely being targeted, that they feel very frustrated that this president hasn't done enough about this. The Congress, when the Republicans controlled it, hadn't done anything about it. And the Senate is still controlled by Republicans, isn't doing anything about it. And as I say, I'll stress this again, do these people not understand that it's their voters that are having their voices suppressed on social media, which will necessarily have electoral ramifications? We're heading into probably the most fractious presidential campaign ever in 2020, and nothing's being done to make sure that free speech is actually maintained as free.
Raheem, thank you so much. We're out of time. Raheem Kassam, appreciate it.